Tokyo, Japan, November 11th, 1972. Nippon Budokan, 7:36 in the evening. Hiroshi Takeda had already thrown three men without taking one full step backward. The first had been a national karate champion. The second had been a heavyweight wrestler. The third was the man now lying flat on the tatami, staring at the ceiling while the referee checked his breathing. Takeda stood above him in a white Judo gi and black belt. He did not raise his arms. He did not look toward the crowd. He only adjusted one sleeve and waited for the defeated man to sit up. That was how Takeda carried victory, quietly, as if every result had already been decided before the first grip. He was 35 years old, 6 feet 1, around 215 pounds, broad through the back, thick through the neck, heavy forearms, short black hair, a nose that had been broken more than once, small scars around the knuckles, cauliflower ears from years of pressure, throws, and ground fighting. He was the reigning world judo champion. He had won international matches in Tokyo, Paris, and Mexico City. He had beaten larger men, faster men, stronger men, men who believed footwork would save them, men who believed striking would stop his entry, men who believed they could stay free. Takeda had one answer for all of them: get the grip, take the balance, finish the movement. Around the tatami, 800 invited spectators watched from the lower levels of the Budokan. Instructors, athletes, journalists, military officers, promoters, foreign guests. The event had been arranged as a closed international martial arts exhibition. No titles were supposed to change hands. No one had come expecting a challenge. Bruce Lee sat among the observers in the second row. He wore a fitted black, long-sleeve shirt, dark trousers, and black shoes. His black jacket rested over the back of the chair beside him. He had watched Takeda from the first demonstration, not the throws. The moments before them, Takeda rarely forced the whole body at once. He controlled one point: a wrist, a sleeve, a shoulder. Then he made the rest of the body follow. The karate champion had attacked with a straight punch. Takeda moved outside, caught the sleeve, stepped across the line, and placed the man on the floor. The wrestler had tried to drive through him. Takeda turned the force, loaded the hip, and threw him over the shoulder. The third man had avoided the first grip. Then Takeda caught the second one and finished the exchange in less than 4 seconds. Bruce watched Takeda's feet. The champion's balance was almost never where the opponent expected it. That was what interested him. Takeda looked toward the defeated wrestler being helped away, then toward the officials. The exhibition should have continued with another scheduled demonstration. It did not. Takeda turned toward the observers. His eyes moved along the first row, then the second, then stopped on Bruce. Several people followed his gaze. The room began to quiet. Takeda spoke in Japanese. The announcer translated into English. Master Takeda says he has heard that Bruce Lee believes no style should control the fighter. Bruce remained seated. Takeda continued. The announcer listened and translated again. He says freedom sounds impressive before someone takes it from you. A few judo instructors smiled. Takeda stepped closer to the edge of the tatami. Speed belongs to a man only while he is free. The translator repeated it. Takeda closed one hand around the sleeve of his own gi. One grip, and your speed belongs to me. The audience reacted, not with laughter, with attention. Bruce looked at Takeda's hand, then at the champion. The announcer asked if he wanted to answer. Bruce stood. He removed his jacket and handed it to the man beside him. Then he stepped toward the tatami. You believe one grip decides everything? The announcer translated. Takeda answered. It decides what happens next. Bruce stepped onto the edge of the mat. Then take the grip. The reaction came fast. Journalists stood. Several instructors moved closer. The officials exchanged urgent looks. Takeda's expression did not change. He turned toward the head referee. The referee spoke with the event organizer. The conversation lasted less than 1 minute. Both men waited. No one looked away. Finally, the referee raised one hand. The special match would be allowed. The rules were simple. Open hand and controlled closed fist strikes were permitted. Low kicks were permitted. No attacks to the eyes, throat, groin, or spine. Throws, sweeps, holds, and submissions were allowed. No striking a man after he was clearly down. The match would end by knockout, surrender, submission, or referee stoppage. No rounds, no points, no gloves. Takeda stayed in his white GI and black belt. Bruce remained in black. The visual difference was immediate. Tradition in white, adaptation in black. Takeda tightened his belt. Bruce rolled his shoulders once. The referee called them to the center. Takeda looked heavier at close range. Not only in weight, in presence. His hands were relaxed, but the fingers were already alive. Bruce stood angled, lead hand floating, weight light. The referee looked at both men. Control until control is no longer possible. Then he stepped away. The fight began. Takeda did not reach immediately. He took one slow step. Bruce moved half a step outside. Takeda followed. Bruce touched the lead hand toward Takeda's face. The champion did not react to the hand. He reacted to the return. As Bruce withdrew, Takeda stepped in. One hand reached for the wrist, the other for the upper arm. Bruce removed the line before both grips closed. Takeda followed. Bruce kicked low into the outside of the thigh. The impact landed. Takeda's leg moved slightly. He kept coming. Bruce touched the chest with a straight lead. Takeda absorbed it and reached again. This time he caught the black shirt near the shoulder. Bruce turned. Takeda's other hand closed on the wrist. The grip was complete. The audience reacted immediately. Takeda stepped deep. His hip moved across the line. Bruce lowered his center. Takeda did not try to force the first throw. He changed direction. The sleeve grip pulled. The shoulder grip pushed. Bruce's balance moved forward. Takeda swept the lead foot. Bruce recovered before the foot left the mat. Takeda turned again. Bruce struck the ribs with a short hand. The champion tightened the grip. Bruce hit the body again. Takeda's breath changed, but the grip remained. Then Takeda stepped across and loaded Bruce onto the hip. Bruce's feet left the tatami. The crowd rose. Takeda completed the throw. Bruce hit the mat hard on one side. The impact traveled through the hall. Takeda followed immediately, one knee near the hip, one hand controlling the wrist, the other arm closing across the upper chest. The referee moved closer. Takeda tried to settle the weight. Bruce turned before the hold became complete. Takeda followed the rotation. Bruce framed against the shoulder. Takeda tightened. Bruce shifted the hips, created one small space, and drove the free knee beneath the body. Takeda tried to flatten him. Bruce struck the ribs with the free hand. Once. Twice. The champion adjusted. Bruce used the adjustment to turn. He came to one knee. Takeda still held the wrist. Bruce rotated the trapped arm, hit the body, and rose. The grip opened. Bruce stepped away. The audience released the breath it had been holding. Takeda stood at once. No celebration, no surprise. He had proven his point. One clean grip had put Bruce on the floor. The first throw changed the mood around the tatami. Before it, many spectators had been curious. After it, they understood the physical danger. Takeda had not caught Bruce by luck. He had waited for the hand to return, closed the second grip, changed direction when the first sweep failed, then completed the throw without wasting strength. Several foreign instructors leaned toward one another. A French judoka near the aisle pointed toward Takeda's lead foot. "He never stopped controlling the line," he said. A karate instructor answered, "Lee struck him twice." The Frenchman nodded, and Takeda still completed the throw. That was the problem Bruce had to solve. A normal opponent released pressure after being hit. Takeda absorbed the strike, shortened his posture, and continued the movement. Pain did not automatically interrupt him. The grip gave him a structure stronger than a single reaction. Bruce looked at Takeda's fingers. The champion's right hand had caught cloth near the shoulder. The left had controlled the wrist. The throw had not come from the arms alone. The hands only connected the bodies. The feet and hips decided the result. Bruce moved lightly across the edge of the center circle. Takeda followed without crossing his feet. The champion showed the right hand again. Bruce did not give him the same return. He touched the face, left the hand extended for half a beat, then changed the line into a short strike toward the chest. Takeda reached and found nothing stable. Bruce kicked the thigh. The champion stepped forward anyway. Bruce struck the ribs. Takeda tried to close the shoulder grip. Bruce turned outside and drove the heel of his palm into the jaw. The contact was clean. Takeda's head moved. Before the champion could reset, Bruce struck the chest with the straight lead and moved away. Three different targets, three different rhythms. The audience reacted because the sequence looked simple. Nothing hidden, nothing decorative. Takeda reached. Bruce made him pay before the grip became complete. Takeda tested another entry. He touched Bruce's lead wrist with his left hand and stepped toward the shoulder with his right. Bruce hit the body. Takeda continued. Bruce hit the body again. The champion's right hand still reached the shirt. Bruce drove a stop kick into the supporting thigh at the exact moment Takeda transferred weight. The leg bent. Takeda's fingers brushed the black fabric, but failed to close. Bruce followed with a straight lead to the face. The champion gave one step. The crowd rose with the contact. Takeda's expression remained calm, but he looked at Bruce differently. The first throw had shown what one grip could do. The next exchanges showed how difficult that grip would become once Bruce understood the timing. Takeda said, "You were free." Bruce looked at the place where he had landed. "Not for long." Takeda raised both hands again. Bruce changed immediately. He no longer waited for the grip to form. He attacked the entry. Takeda stepped forward. Bruce drove a hard stop kick into the outside of the lead thigh. The impact bent the leg enough to break the step. Before Takeda could reset, Bruce landed a straight lead on the face. Takeda's head moved back. Bruce followed with a short punch beneath the ribs. The champion's body tightened. Bruce stepped outside before the hands could close. The audience reacted loudly. 3 clean attacks, 1 broken entry. Takeda turned and came again. Bruce struck the chest. Takeda reached through the impact. Bruce kicked the thigh. Takeda caught the sleeve of the black shirt. Bruce immediately hit the ribs. The grip weakened before the second hand arrived. Bruce pulled free and drove a side kick into Takeda's chest. The kick landed full contact. Takeda's upper body moved backward. His rear foot slid 1 full step across the tatami. The audience erupted. Takeda looked down at the mark forming across the front of the GI, then back at Bruce. The champion's eyes narrowed. He came forward with more purpose. Bruce touched the face. Takeda parried. Bruce kicked the lead leg. Takeda stepped through and caught the wrist. Bruce struck the body with the free hand. Takeda reached for the shoulder. Bruce stepped outside and hit the jaw with a palm-line strike. Takeda's head snapped to the side. The grip disappeared. Bruce moved away. The difference in the fight was now clear. Takeda needed one complete connection. Bruce was making every attempt expensive. Takeda adjusted. He stopped reaching for the upper body first. He began attacking the feet. A small step inside, a touch to the wrist, a sudden sweep toward the ankle. Bruce lifted the foot and escaped. Takeda turned the failed sweep into forward pressure. Bruce hit the chest. Takeda closed the distance. Bruce kicked the thigh. Takeda reached under the arm. This grip was different, lower, closer to the body. Bruce tried to turn out. Takeda stayed attached. One arm wrapped around the waist, the other controlled the upper arm. Takeda's forehead pressed near Bruce's shoulder. The champion drove forward. Bruce gave one step, then another. Takeda's leg moved behind Bruce's heel. The throw was coming. Bruce struck the ribs. Takeda tightened. Bruce hit the body again. Takeda's posture shortened, but did not break. He lifted. Bruce's feet left the mat a second time. The audience shouted. Takeda turned for the throw. Bruce hooked one foot behind the champion's supporting leg. The movement slowed. Bruce shifted his hips away from Takeda's center. The champion tried to finish. Bruce struck the ribs once more. Takeda's grip loosened enough for one foot to return to the mat. Bruce landed, stepped outside, and drove a palm into the jaw. Takeda's head moved back. Bruce followed with a hard side kick into the chest. The impact pushed Takeda 2 steps away. The crowd rose again. This was the image they had not expected. The world judo champion, forced backward by a fighter he had promised to control with one grip. Takeda touched the jaw, then rolled the shoulder. Takeda did not retreat after the side kick. He moved laterally for the first time. The change was small but important. Until then, the champion had treated the center as permanent property. Now he circled to reduce the angle of Bruce's lead leg. Bruce followed. Takeda feinted the sleeve grip. Bruce struck the chest. Takeda used the contact to step deeper and caught the wrist from below. Bruce tried to rotate free. Takeda moved with the turn and placed his other hand behind the upper arm. The grip closed. Bruce attacked the ribs immediately. Takeda accepted the strike and stepped behind the lead foot. Bruce removed the foot before the sweep. Takeda pulled him forward. Bruce hit the body again. Takeda changed to an outside trip. Bruce widened his base. For several seconds, neither man owned the position. Takeda had the grip. Bruce had the angle. The champion tried to turn the shoulder. Bruce drove a knee into the outside of the thigh. Takeda's balance shifted. Bruce stepped behind the heel and struck the chest with the palm. The grip opened. Takeda recovered before falling. Bruce drove a straight lead into the face. Takeda's head snapped back. Then Bruce landed a short side kick beneath the ribs. The white GI folded inward at the point of impact. Takeda gave 2 steps and reset. The crowd shouted at the visible result. The champion students in the front row stopped smiling. They had expected Bruce to avoid the grips. They had not expected him to attack from inside them. Takeda understood the change too. He raised the hands less, kept the elbows closer, stopped reaching from distance. He began using the chest and shoulder to hide the hands until the last moment. Bruce stepped in with a straight lead. Takeda absorbed it on the forearm and entered behind the block. The right hand caught the shirt. The left controlled the elbow. Takeda drove forward. Bruce struck beneath the ribs. Takeda turned the hips. Bruce struck again. The champion pulled harder. Bruce's feet moved. Takeda tried to load the shoulder. Bruce lowered his weight and placed the free hand against the Takeda's chest. The champion adjusted to a leg reap. Bruce removed the leg and hit the jaw with the palm. Takeda's grip loosened. Bruce drove a side kick into the chest from close range. The impact separated them. Takeda slid backward on the tatami. Bruce remained standing in the center. That image changed the audience. Takeda still had the more dangerous control once both hands closed. But Bruce was no longer treating the grip as a defensive emergency. He was turning it into a target. The wrist that reached became a line to strike around. The shoulder that pressed became a place to redirect. The supporting leg became vulnerable every time the hips committed. Takeda had built his career by making men react to the grip. Bruce was making the grip react to him. He was no longer testing Bruce. He was solving him. The champion slowed the pace. He began waiting for Bruce to attack. Bruce circled. Takeda remained near the center. Bruce touched the lead hand toward the face. Takeda did not chase it. Bruce kicked the thigh. Takeda absorbed it. Bruce stepped in with a straight lead. Takeda caught the returning wrist. His other hand closed on the upper arm. The grip happened in one motion. Takeda stepped deep and turned. Bruce lowered his center. Takeda changed direction again. Instead of throwing across the hip, he pulled Bruce forward and swept the rear leg. Bruce hit the tatami on his back. Takeda followed. This time the hold came faster. One arm controlled the head. The other trapped the near arm. The champion's chest pressed across Bruce's upper body. The referee dropped to one knee beside them. Takeda said quietly, "Now you have nowhere to move." Bruce looked toward Takeda's supporting knee. "I only need one place." Bruce shifted the hips. Takeda followed. Bruce drove a short strike into the ribs. The champion tightened. Bruce hit the same place again. Takeda's body reacted. Bruce placed one foot flat against the tatami. The trapped shoulder turned inward. Takeda moved his weight to stop the escape. That weight created the place Bruce needed. Bruce bridged, turned beneath the chest, and came to one side. Takeda still controlled the arm. Bruce struck the ribs a third time. The grip loosened. Bruce slid the elbow free. Takeda reached for the neck. Bruce drove the palm beneath the jaw. Takeda's head moved back. Bruce came to one knee. Takeda tried to pull him down again. Bruce hit the thigh with a short knee. The champion's base shifted. Bruce stepped behind the heel. Takeda lost balance for 1 second. Bruce rose and drove a full side kick into the center of the chest. The impact threw Takeda backward across the tatami. He stayed on his feet, but the result was visible. The white GI folded at the point of contact. The champion's breath left hard. The audience exploded. Bruce had escaped the ground and ended the sequence with a clean, full contact strike. Takeda breathed through the nose. His chest rose once. Then again. He tied the GI more tightly. Bruce watched the hands. Takeda watched the feet. The next phase became faster. Takeda entered. Bruce stopped the thigh with a kick. Takeda changed levels. Bruce hit the face. Takeda caught the shirt. Bruce struck the body. Takeda stepped outside. Bruce moved with him. Takeda tried to sweep. Bruce lifted the foot and drove a straight lead into the face. Takeda's nose opened slightly. A thin line of blood appeared. The audience reacted. Takeda wiped it with the back of one hand, then attacked before Bruce could reset. He caught the wrist, stepped behind the lead leg, turned the hips. Bruce struck the ribs. Takeda continued. Bruce's balance moved. Takeda loaded him across the shoulder. Bruce's feet left the mat. This time, Takeda had the full position. The throw was clean. Bruce hit hard. The referee moved closer. Takeda followed into a choke attempt, one arm around the neck, the other hand closing the frame. Bruce tucked the chin. Takeda tightened. The pressure was real. The crowd became silent. Bruce's hands went to the controlling arm. Takeda adjusted the grip. Bruce did not pull wildly. He shifted the hips, created space near the shoulder, drove one hand inside. Takeda tightened again. Bruce's face changed under the pressure. The referee watched closely. Takeda's legs controlled the body. This was the champion's world, the place where speed meant less. Bruce stopped fighting the whole hold. He attacked one point, the wrist, the angle of the elbow, the space near the shoulder. He turned his chin toward the opening. Takeda changed the grip. Bruce used the change. His hips moved first, then the shoulder, then the head. The choke slipped from the strongest line. Bruce struck the body from the side. Takeda tightened the legs. Bruce hit the ribs again, then drove the heel into the tatami and turned. The champion's base opened. Bruce came to one knee. Takeda reached for the back. Bruce stood before the grip settled. He turned and hit the body with a hard, straight hand. Takeda folded slightly. Bruce followed with a palm line strike to the jaw. The head moved. Then a stop kick landed against the thigh. The leg buckled. Bruce stepped in and drove a straight lead into the face. Takeda gave 2 steps backward. The crowd roared, 4 clear attacks, all landing. The champion had nearly submitted Bruce. Now he was being forced backward by the answer. The choke had been the closest moment of the fight. Several spectators believed the referee had been 1 second from stopping it. Takeda's control had been complete enough to change Bruce's face, complete enough to silence the hall, complete enough to prove that the champion's ground fighting was not an exhibition. Bruce stood near the edge of the center circle and rolled the neck once. A red line had formed beneath the jaw. Takeda saw it. He pointed toward the mark. That is control. Bruce touched the neck with 2 fingers. That was pressure. Takeda stepped forward. What is the difference? Bruce raised the lead hand. Pressure asks a question. The champion moved closer. And control? Bruce answered. Control removes the answer. Takeda entered before the translator could repeat every word. He caught the wrist and attacked the shoulder. Bruce struck the ribs. Takeda continued. Bruce kicked the thigh. The champion stepped across. Bruce hit the jaw with a palm. Takeda kept one grip and changed to the waist. Bruce drove a short strike into the body. Takeda lifted. Bruce's feet left the tatami for a fraction. Then the stop kick landed against the inside of the supporting thigh. Takeda's base broke. Bruce returned to the mat and struck the chest. The champion released and moved away. The audience roared. Bruce had answered the question with the exchange itself. Takeda could create pressure, but the answer remained alive. The champion attacked again. This time he reached with both hands at once, accepting the wrist to close faster. Bruce drove the straight lead between the arms. The strike landed flush on the face. Takeda's head moved backward. Bruce followed with a body shot, then a low side kick into the lead thigh. Takeda's knee dipped. Bruce stepped outside and landed another palm line strike to the jaw. The champion stumbled 1 step. The crowd reacted to 4 clean impacts. Takeda's nose bled more clearly now. He wiped it once, then came forward with the discipline of a man who had spent years learning not to confuse damage with defeat. He caught Bruce's sleeve at the wrist. Bruce struck the body. Takeda pulled. Bruce moved with the pull and hit the ribs again. Takeda tried to turn. Bruce stepped beyond the lead foot and swept the heel. Takeda recovered before touching the floor. Bruce drove a side kick into the chest. The champion was thrown backward again. He remained upright, but his breathing came harder. The fight was changing through accumulation. Not one magical technique, not one perfect strike. Every failed grip cost the thigh. Every completed grip cost the ribs. Every turn exposed the chest. Every release brought the palm toward the jaw. Takeda's greatest strength was still real, but Bruce had made it expensive to use. Takeda's expression remained controlled. But the body told the truth. His breathing had changed. The repeated shots beneath the ribs were accumulating. The lead thigh had absorbed stop kicks. The chest had taken 2 full side kicks. Bruce's face showed damage too. A red mark along the neck from the choke. One shoulder of the black shirt stretched, the side of the body marked from the throws. Neither man was untouched. The fight had become honest. Takeda came forward again. Bruce attacked first, straight lead to the chest. Low kick to the thigh. Takeda reached. Bruce hit the jaw. Takeda caught the shirt with one hand. Bruce drove a body shot under the elbow. Takeda tried to complete the second grip. Bruce kicked the supporting leg. The champion's knee dipped. Bruce struck the chest again. Takeda released and moved back. The audience reacted to each contact. The attacks were no longer mysterious. They were direct, visible, full contact. Takeda tried to change the rhythm. He let Bruce attack twice without answering. Straight lead to the face. Low kick to the thigh. He absorbed both. On the third entry, he caught the wrist and stepped across. Bruce expected the hip throw. Takeda used a sacrifice throw instead. He dropped his own weight, pulled Bruce over the line, and sent him across the mat. Both men hit the tatami. Takeda rolled through and came on top. The crowd erupted. The champion trapped one arm and attacked the shoulder. Bruce turned before the lock straightened. Takeda followed. Bruce struck the ribs with the free hand. Takeda tightened the arm. Bruce shifted the hips. Takeda moved the knee to block the escape. Bruce hit the body again. The champion's elbow opened for one moment. Bruce pulled the trapped arm free. Takeda reached for the neck. Bruce posted against the shoulder and rose. Takeda stayed attached to the waist. Bruce stood with the champion behind him. Takeda tried to lift backward. Bruce widened the stance. One hand controlled Takeda's wrist. The other struck the ribs behind him. Takeda tightened the body lock. Bruce hit the same place again. The grip weakened. Bruce turned inside, drove the shoulder beneath Takeda's chest, and stepped behind the champion's lead heel. Takeda felt the shift. He tried to recover. Bruce swept the supporting leg. For the first time, Takeda hit the tatami from Bruce's balance break. Not a large throw, not a judo throw, a simple removal of the base. The crowd rose. Takeda rolled and stood immediately. Bruce did not attack while he was down. He waited. The champion looked at the tatami, then at Bruce. "You used my grip." Bruce answered, "You gave me your balance." Takeda stepped forward. No anger, only commitment. The final phase began. Takeda's best attack had always been the shoulder throw. He had used it against world-class athletes. He had completed it from both sides. He had trained it until the entry no longer looked like an entry. Bruce knew it would come again. Takeda knew Bruce knew. That made the moment more dangerous. They circled. Takeda touched the wrist. Bruce removed it. Takeda stepped away. Bruce kicked the thigh. Takeda absorbed it. Bruce touched the face. Takeda waited for the hand to return, then entered. One hand caught the wrist. The other seized the black shirt near the shoulder. Takeda turned fully. His hip crossed Bruce's center. His back came beneath the chest. The champion lifted. Bruce's feet left the mat. The audience rose as one. Takeda had the full throw, the movement that had ended dozens of matches. Bruce lowered his center even while being lifted. His hips moved away from Takeda's strongest line. One foot searched for the tatami. Takeda pulled harder. Bruce struck the ribs with the free hand. Takeda continued turning. Bruce hit the same place again. The champion's structure tightened. Bruce's right foot touched the mat for one fraction. That was enough. He stepped outside Takeda's supporting heel. The champion tried to complete the rotation. Bruce moved with it, then farther. He placed one leg behind Takeda's base, drove the shoulder beneath the controlling arm, and pushed the rotation beyond the point Takeda had planned. The champion's supporting foot disappeared. Takeda fell through his own throw. He hit the tatami on his side. Bruce landed on one knee beside him. The audience exploded. Bruce stood immediately and stepped away. Takeda rolled to his knees, then rose. The champion's face remained disciplined, but the movement was slower. The ribs hurt. The lead leg resisted. The throw had taken something from him. Takeda raised both hands. Bruce attacked. A hard stop kick landed on the damaged thigh. Takeda's leg buckled. Before he could recover, Bruce drove a straight lead into the face. The head snapped backward. Bruce followed with a short punch beneath the ribs. Takeda folded at the body. The audience roared. Bruce stepped outside and smashed a sidekick into the chest. The impact threw Takeda backward. He tried to stay upright. One foot crossed behind the other. The champion dropped to one knee. The hall erupted. Takeda planted one hand on the tatami. Bruce stopped several feet away. No celebration. No final strike against a kneeling man. The referee stepped closer. Takeda looked up. His breathing was heavy. Blood remained beneath the nose. The white GI had opened slightly at the chest. The lead leg shook. The referee asked if he could continue. Takeda pushed himself upright. He stood. The audience roared for him. The champion raised both hands again. Bruce waited. Takeda took one step, then another. He tried to enter for one final grip. Bruce met him before the fingers closed. A stop kick struck the thigh. Takeda's base broke. A straight lead landed on the face. Takeda's head moved. A short body shot drove into the ribs. The champion folded. Bruce ended with one final full contact side kick into the chest. Takeda was thrown backward and fell to one knee again. This time the referee moved between them immediately. The match was over. The hall remained loud for several seconds. Then the sound began to settle. Takeda stayed on one knee. Bruce lowered his hands. The referee looked at the champion. Takeda nodded once. He accepted the stoppage. No argument. No excuse. He stood slowly. The audience applauded both men. Takeda faced Bruce. "I had the grip." Bruce answered, "Yes." "I threw you." "Yes." "I controlled you on the ground." For a moment, Takeda looked at his own hands. "You still escaped." Bruce said nothing. Takeda looked up. "What is the difference between a grip and control?" Bruce answered calmly. "A grip is contact." Takeda waited. "Control is what happens next." The champion absorbed the words. He looked toward the place where Bruce had turned the final throw, then toward the center of the tatami. Takeda extended one hand. Bruce took it. The applause rose again. This time the crowd understood the result more clearly. Bruce had not proved judo useless. Takeda had thrown him, pinned him, nearly choked him, forced him to fight from the floor. The danger had been real from the first grip, but Bruce had refused to treat the grip as the end of the exchange. He had attacked the entry, the body, the base, the moment between contact and control. Takeda turned toward the officials. He bowed. He then bowed to Bruce. Bruce returned the gesture. The match ended without humiliation, but it did not end without consequence. Takeda's students gathered around him after the audience left. No one spoke at first. The champion sat on the edge of the tatami with the white gi open at the chest. One student brought ice for the ribs. Another placed a towel near the bleeding nose. Takeda accepted both without comment. The youngest black belt finally asked, "Was he stronger than you expected?" Takeda looked toward the empty center. "No." The answer surprised them. The student tried again. "Faster?" "Yes, but that was not the problem." Takeda pressed the ice against the ribs. "The problem was that I believe the grip finished the decision." He looked at his right hand. "I trained the entry until men feared contact." The room remained quiet. When they felt the grip, they tried to escape the whole position. That made them predictable. He looked toward the place where Bruce had stopped the final throw. He did not escape the whole position. One senior student understood first. He attacked the unfinished part. Takeda nodded. The second hand, the supporting foot, the ribs during the turn, the moment before the hip became control. He closed his fist. "I thought I had one technique," then opened the hand again. He showed me I had several unfinished moments. That night, Takeda wrote 4 words on a page in his training notebook. "Contact is not completion." He underlined them once. The next morning, he did not begin practice with clean entries. He began with interrupted ones. One hand on the sleeve, a strike already touching the ribs, the supporting leg under attack, the opponent moving in the same direction as the throw. Students who had spent years searching for perfect grips were forced to work from imperfect contact. They disliked it. Takeda continued anyway. A senior judoka failed the same entry 6 times. He stepped away in frustration. Takeda called him back. "You are waiting for the correct position." The student nodded. Takeda pointed toward the marked square. "The correct position is the one you have." He placed one hand on the student's sleeve. then allowed the student to strike lightly toward his body. Takeda changed the elbow, moved the foot, entered from the damaged line. The throw still worked, not because the position was perfect, because the champion no longer expected it to be. The next morning, Takeda returned to his training hall. His students expected the usual session: grip fighting, entries, throws, ground control. Instead, Takeda moved the benches away from one wall. He marked a narrow square on the tatami, then called his senior students forward. One student asked, "What are we training?" Takeda answered, "What happens after the first plan fails?" The students looked at one another. Takeda placed one hand on a student's sleeve. "Take the grip." The student did. Takeda moved before the second hand closed. He struck lightly to the body with the free hand, stepped outside the lead foot, broke the angle, then released, again. This time the student completed both grips. Takeda allowed the position, then attacked the ribs, shifted the hip, and stepped behind the heel. The student lost balance. Takeda stopped him before the fall. The room became quiet. One senior student asked, "Are we changing judo?" Takeda looked at him. "No." He adjusted the sleeve of his GI. "We are removing the lie that the first grip guarantees the last word." The students understood. Takeda had not abandoned his art. He had made it less certain. That was different. Weeks later, at another exhibition, Takeda demonstrated the shoulder throw. He completed it cleanly. The audience applauded. Then he asked the partner to resist earlier, to strike the body before the turn, to step outside the supporting heel, to attack the moment between grip and control. The second demonstration lasted longer. It looked less perfect. Takeda preferred it. A young instructor asked him why. Takeda answered, "Perfect demonstrations teach men what should happen." He looked toward the tatami. "Fights teach them what happens next." Tokyo, Japan, November 11, 1972. Nippon Budokan. Hiroshi Takeda believed speed belonged to a man only while he was free. He believed one grip could take that freedom away. For much of the fight, he proved how dangerous that idea was. He threw Bruce Lee, pinned him, attacked the shoulder, closed a choke, lifted him from the mat. Bruce did not escape because the grip was weak. He escaped because he refused to confuse contact with control. He struck before the second hand closed. He attacked the ribs when the champion tightened. He broke the supporting leg when the throw committed. He turned the final movement past the point Takeda had planned. And when the champion came forward one last time, Bruce met him with the clear answer the audience had been waiting for. Stop kick to the thigh, straight lead to the face, short strike to the ribs, full contact side kick to the chest. One grip had started the argument. What happened next ended it.